Hey everyone, I'm here. Oh, look at that picture of Nicholas Yova behind me. I didn't realise. Here in the DR Sports studio. I'm going to do something a little bit different. Look, this match report isn't going to be a match report, to be honest. Barely even a match reaction. I wanted to make this video just quickly on my phone, just looking at the bigger questions around Mikel Arteta, just talking about the bigger picture a little bit. Because look, what's there to say about the game? The 11 I was happy with. My last video on Mikel Mourinho hasn't aged well. Appreciate that, but I kind of stand by what I said, though that wasn't evidence of his quality, certainly in that game. And I think we all saw the game. Look, no goals. I thought the subs were a shocker from Arteta. And I just think that the bigger conversation right now is around Mikel. And I think for the first time in years now, I think we need to have a real conversation about Mikel Arteta, the level he's at, how far we can really go with him. What's his ceiling? What's his floor? I think that's quite important. How bad could it get under Arteta? Look, we're still in the top four and all that. And I know some rival fans, not even rival fans. I can imagine a fan of a team in the bottom three going, "You lot are pathetic, really?" Arsenal aren't in crisis, but in terms of trying to win the league, we're miles off. We missed two massive opportunities to cut the gap on Liverpool. So I want to talk about Arteta in a bit more detail, because he's a manager that confuses me so much. And look, what I'm about to say right now at the beginning of this vid is not to defend him. Please don't think that if you're watching this and you're a critic of Mikel Arteta, just let me land, because I will be critical. But let me get through the stuff that I believe are facts. It's his first job in management. It's a massive club. 5-6 years he's been a manager, so he is learning. He is learning a lot about himself, let alone, he's going through a process of development as a manager, as well as he is going through the process with Arsenal, trying to make them the team that he wants them to be. I'm sure he doubts himself a lot. I'm sure he has a lot of questions. I'm sure he, in some ways isn't as ready as he'd like to be, though for, 5 years, has had to make himself be ready. I know when he came in, he said, I'm ready. I wouldn't be taking this job if I were ready. But the reality is, anyone whose first job is Arsenal is not ready. So I can hear it now. Oh, here we go. He's not ready. The poor guy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just stating the fact about how young he is as a manager. Some people say Arne Slot too. Yeah, but Arne Slot had another job. And that does matter too. So he spent a lot of money. If I'm talking about the facts about how long he's been in the job, that we've got to talk about that. He spent a lot of money. Quite a lot of it's been wasted, but I think most of it has been spent really well. Most of it. Though I also think we've had a bit of a shocker in terms of the positions we haven't addressed. I think he's clearly improved us, and I think he's clearly done some really good work. But there's no doubt that there has been a hurdle for the last 4 seasons, and he has failed to clear it. And I think when he won the FA Cup, we all thought, wow, this is a manager who's been at Man City, who's worked with Pep Guardiola. He's going to know how to find that winning formula. And he hasn't won a trophy since 2020. So it will be 5 years before at best he lifts his next one, which is far too long for a club like Arsenal. But crucially, and I said this with Sharoy on the Goonerverse podcast, you can say he's had 2 title races as Arsenal manager. You could also say he's failed to win 8 trophies in the 2 years he's had 2 title challenging sides. Last season, the remit was win the title, that was the hurdle we had to go for. Can you win the title? And he didn't. Season before that was, can you win the title? And he didn't, albeit that wasn't the expectation, but expectations change. Then before that was, can you get in the top 4? And he didn't. The season before that, it was, can you win the Europa League and sneak us into the Champions League? It's only Man United in there. They weren't great. Villarreal stood in our way in the semi-finals, and we didn't. We failed to win that competition too. And then there's all the other trophies and all the other exits along the way, whether it be West Ham in the Carabao Cup, whether it be Southampton in the FA Cup. Loads of really disappointing defeats along the way. So when ultimately the expectation is to deliver and win trophies, and the Premier League being the main one we want, he's failed in largely a lot of that. But he's got us closer and closer, and we've got better and better until this season where it feels like we're regressing. This is the first time in about 3 seasons, three and a half years under Mikel Arteta, that I've actually felt that we have regressed. It's the first time I felt that we've actually gone backwards. It's also the first time I think he's gone backwards tactically a little bit. Even last season when the inverting Zinchenko thing wasn't working, the way he split our centre-backs, went for almost a 4-4-2 build-up with Odegaard and Havertz was almost a front two dropping in. I thought that was quite innovative, and we seem to have regressed to tactics from 2 seasons ago. Only the recruitment to add has been really hit and miss. I mean, Timber and Rice feel like absolute hits. Jury's out on Kai Havertz. Mikel Merino, jury's more than out. They're going to be out there for another 5 hours. And who else have we got? Sterling, absolute miss. Calafiori, we don't know if he's better than the 18-year-old we brought in, though I like that as a signing. So you kind of wonder about the money. I'm kind of going all over the place, but I'm going to land. So then you ask questions about the money and where it's been spent. And actually in the last few years, has he really put the money to the right resources? And sometimes we have our doubts, like David Raya, and we're proven wrong because Raya's been brilliant. So where are we? We'll basically look at this manager who we can say has done a lot of good and has done has got things wrong. And that's fine. That's true of it. Look, Pep Guardiola is getting things wrong now. But why do people not question him? Because he's gone and delivered. So delivering is a big thing, right? Buys you a lot of credit and time, obviously. And Pep's one of the greatest to ever do it. I think with a few trophies, Arteta would have a lot more. I think people would be a lot more patient now. The problem is, the big question as to, can Mikel Arteta be the one to deliver the title? Can he be the one to deliver us trophies? Can he be the one to get the most out of this team? Is this team going to keep getting better under him? Is he going to keep getting better as a manager? And for the first time, I have my serious doubts. For the first time, and it's taken me 6 minutes to get to this point, for the first time I have real doubts as to whether he will get not better, but just good enough to the level we want him to. I'm not sure. I always thought this was a young manager who was going to get there because the trajectory could only be up and his ideas are good and he's learning and he'll spend more money. But I'm not convinced by that. I don't understand the substitutions in this game. I don't understand the substitutions in quite a few games. I haven't understood the starting 11s, though I did understand with this one. I didn't understand how playing with Kai Havertz's position when he was in good goal-scoring form was the answer to Odegaard's absence. Only now Kai Havertz doesn't look like he's really got much of a goal in him. Since he's been sort of messed around in that position, Leandro Trossard, is a player that does so well in the pockets on the inside, and we chuck him on the touchline. Today, chasing the game, we took out all our athleticism in midfield to put Jorginho in there, but we had no one close to Jorginho. There's no one to play with him. So we totally lost all control there too. Partey's coming on right back for what reason? Because you want to get Lewis Skelly off. Just bring on Kivior. Or be brave and go to a back 3. Keep Timber, Saliba, Gabriel at the back and have Saka and Martinelli as wing backs. Get a little bit more, get Jesus next to Havertz, keep your midfield intact. You're bringing off Odegaard. He did have a great game. So I've reverted back to this game, talk about that a little bit. But there's lots of questions around Mikel Arteta throughout the season. When you bring on Odegaard 5 minutes against Inter Milan, if he's good enough and ready for 5 minutes against Inter Milan and 95 minutes against Chelsea on the weekend, why wasn't he fit enough for 20, 30 minutes against Inter? It's really strange. I don't really get it. You try Rice as a box-to-box midfielder on the right of Thomas Partey against Man City, works really well in that first half. And you never play him there ever again. I know, I just have so many questions around Mikel. And the thing is, so often he's come out on top and I'm sat there going, oh, you idiot, James, doubting this guy. But I am feeling like those who have doubted him for so long, I don't even think it's a question of whether they even think he's good or not. That's not the question that's being asked. Is he good enough for what we want to do? And I have serious doubts about that now. Because I feel like too often he's fundamentally getting things wrong. Now, I could talk about the players, by the way. Odegaard should score once, maybe twice today. I mean, the chances we missed against Monaco. Remember what I said in my match report then? I said we wouldn't be forgiving these missed chances if it were a game where we really needed them to go in the back of the net. And in this game, we're getting more mad. But this game, we barely even had the chances. I don't think we played that well. Certainly, second half was appalling. First half was a bit better. And I think if I had a message from Mikel, it would be look at your group and be really, really, really brutally honest with yourself. Are they good enough to give you the Premier League title you want? Kai Havertz is a better player than I thought he was. But is he good enough to win you the title and lead the line week in, week out? You know, are converting centre-backs and right-backs to left-back or midfielders to left-back, is that the way forward, or should you sign a left-back? Are the midfield options good enough? Are you brave enough if Ødegaard's out to play the 17-year-old? And you saw the criticism he got today, so you think, well, that's exactly why he's kept him away from it. You know, Trossard, Martinelli, Sterling, are you happy with any one of those? Or have you just got three non-ideal ones? We'll just sort of figure it out. I just feel like he needs to really, really, really be hard on himself and ask himself those big questions. Are they genuinely, these players, good enough? And if not, then you go to the hierarchy above. And I know he spent a lot of money, and you think, why should he even be entitled to more? But you go to the hierarchy above, and you just say, that's it. I need that 2 or 3 that are just going to do it. Because I think while he's been given money, I think at other times he's had to make do. And not every manager gets everything they want. Look at Slot. Hasn't spent any money. Look what he's doing. But I think you've got to go out swinging a little bit. If we are entering a period of regression with Arteta and going backwards, then I think you need to swing and try and get everything you possibly can to turn the tide around. And I also think he needs to, as well, go back to basics. Just because teams might have figured something out doesn't mean that tactic is better than something different that they don't know. Sometimes it's still a better approach than, I don't know, forcing something new because it's different. I mean, how the hell did we end that game? Timber left back, Partey right back, Jorginho alone in midfield, Havertz in midfield, a 17-year-old on, Trossard out on the touchline. It was just a disaster, absolute disaster way to end the game. And I think Arteta needs to just rein it in a little bit, pull it back, strip it back, and start again and look big time at January, because we can salvage the season. Maybe not the title, we can salvage the season. We can salvage the direction this team's going in. And, you know, and I think January is an opportunity to do that with money spent, but I also think he needs to have a real hard think about whether he's over-engineering this and whether he's doing too much. And I would think that he'd ultimately come to the conclusion that he probably is. I mean, today was certainly that. But for the first time, I'm having real doubts, and I'm mentioning all these things because I've just got real questions over whether he actually is the guy to take us to the title. And it's been a long time since I've asked that question about whether Mikel is the guy that we need at this club. Yeah, I'm having doubts, but I think I need to sleep on this and just sort of see. And I think ultimately nothing gets done in the middle of the season, does it? Not while you're in the top 4, obviously. But ultimately we're still far behind. So that's the problem. He's in that limbo. He's not as good as we want him to be right now, but he's performing like too good to sack him. But some people would strongly disagree with that. All right, everyone, we'll leave it there. I just had to vent some thoughts about Mikel Arteta. I'm not even sure I really came to a conclusion on any of them, but I just wanted to talk about him and just try and make sense of my thoughts and all the things I'm simultaneously feeling about this guy. He wasn't able to bail us out today, nor should he. No open play goals in 3 Premier League games isn't good enough. All right, we'll leave it there, everyone. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Is Mikel Arteta good enough to win Arsenal the Premier League? If not this season, in the coming seasons. Do you think he's at that level? Because I'm really questioning it now. Subscribe if you like the channel. We'll catch you all soon.